Today is going to be a good day, and that's because today we're meeting up with my buddy Richard and his newly straight pipe C8 Z06. All right, we arrived to the parking garage. Let's go walk over to Richard's place. I grabbed Richard one of my new shirts in a new color, this new gray color. It's a next level shirt. These shirts are nice. Hopefully he likes it. If you don't walk away from your car or look at your car when you walk away, I think you bought the wrong car. I met up with my buddy Richard. We're going to check out the Z06. He doesn't really like to be on camera too much, but here is the Z. So far, what you install, the wing?
The wing, the exhaust, and we're waiting for the wheels. They're on order, they'll be here in a few weeks.
Okay, nice. What kind of wing is this?
It's a Versus wing, Versus engineering.
Nice, it's pretty carbon fiber?
Yep.
Sweet. And we're gonna get a nice little cold start with the new Kline exhaust. Before you do it, let me zoom in on the exhaust tips here. Oh, all right. But when you want it to be louder, it will be. That's awesome. It sounds so good. It sounds so much better than factory. I think the Z06s kind of sound odd from factory, but this thing, that exhaust, the Kline exhaust, really turned things 180 degrees. It sounds so much better. It almost sounds like a mix of like a Lamborghini and a Ferrari. It sounds really, really exotic. So I'm excited to get this thing out on the road and really listen to what it sounds like under load. If you're a returning viewer of the channel, then you know I made a few different videos with this Z06 before, but since those videos have been posted, my buddy Richard has done a few different modifications to that, but we're gonna highlight one in particular. But first things first, huge shout out to my buddy Richard for allowing me to do a video with his C8 Z06. You guys can follow him on Instagram right here, Project C8 Z06, if you guys wanna follow along with the build, because this is just in its infancy of the build. There's a few more cool things coming, which you guys will see if you do end up following. And by the way, you guys can follow me on Instagram as well at 703speed for behind the scenes stuff of the channel. But if you don't know, this is his 2023 C8 Z06 Z07 convertible. And a few different things that he's done to it. Obviously, he's got paint protection film. He did add this red tow hook here. There's also a red tow hook in the back. He's got the carbon fiber, carbon flash painted wheels with the ceramic rotors. That's what they look like, the carbon ceramics, excuse me. I love the way that this thing looks. He has done away with the Z07 wing and replaced it with this carbon fiber wing. I don't know the exact brand of it, but it looks sweet. It makes the car look super aggressive and just very race car-esque. But coming around to the back, I'm gonna highlight the small thing first, then the big thing. But take a look, another red tow hook here at the back to accent the interior. But look at this beautiful Kline exhaust. This is the exhaust you find on Porsches, Ferraris, etc. And this has really made a drastic change to the way that this Z06 sounds. You know, like I mentioned earlier, I think the Z06 sounds kind of odd from factory. And this has just made this thing sound literally like a mix of a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. At low RPMs, it sounds like a Lamborghini V12. Some of you may disagree, some of you may agree. I don't think the video quality or the video sound is really gonna do this justice. You kind of have to hear it in person, but it sounds absolutely insane. He went with the carbon fiber tips that say Kline. This is the first Z06 with a Kline exhaust, and it sounds insane. It is fully straight piped. It sounds amazing. Kline did a fantastic job with this exhaust, so I guess we should just take a listen to it. By the way, it does retain the factory valves, so you can make it quiet when you want to, but if you want to open it up for that full C8 Z06 beautiful sound, then you just open up the valves and it goes full kill. Because this thing has remote start, all I got to do is press this button twice and she'll fire up. Will it not do remote start because of the check engine light? All right, first things first, we're gonna take a listen to what this thing sounds like from the interior's perspective when we fire it up. So opening up the door, let's fire her up and take a listen to what it sounds like from the interior with the door closed. That is with the valves closed. That is with the valves open. Sounds absolutely awesome. But from the interior's perspective, it's not too loud, even with the valves opened. On a cold start, we actually started it in a parking garage, and all the sound reflected off the concrete barrier that was right behind the car, and it sounded super exotic. Number one, super loud, but it's not like too raspy, and it's not like obnoxiously loud to where you wouldn't want to, you know, drive it full kill with the valves open at all times. It's not too loud. It's just kind of got the perfect volume, the perfect tone, and I'll show you that here from the exterior's perspective now. If you have a C8 Z06 and you really like the way that this thing sounds, this is the Kline Innovation exhaust with the valves. It also has the carbon fiber tips, and you can either get it catted or, you know what I'm saying, and it sounds fantastic either way. But the cost with the cats is over $12,000. So because Kline makes exhaust for Ferraris, Porsches, and now the C8 Z06, it does come at a cost. But I think if you have the money for a C8 Z06 and you have a little bit of money to spend for an exhaust, this is the way to go. I have not heard the Fab Speed exhaust in person. I've heard it online and it sounds fantastic, but this just, it has that exotic sound. Now, again, I can't speak onto what the Fab Speed exhaust sounds like, but this thing, just take a listen to a couple revs here. This is how this thing should sound from factory. Like I mentioned, I think these things sound kind of odd from factory, and I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. The pitch just, in the tone from factory, just isn't quite there. But with this exhaust, this really, like, it makes this like a brand new Ferrari 458 almost in a way, because it handles fantastic with the Z07. I think even if this wasn't a Z07, I think it would handle fantastic. I've never driven a Z06 without the Z07, and with that sound, it feels like literally a Ferrari 458 race car. All right, now that we've heard it stationary with a few revs, let's go put this thing under some load and really hear what it sounds like.
Oh, the POV head.
Yep. Backfires on demand. And then, if you want it to be quiet, you want to just chill, take it out of Z mode, put it in auto mode. and you see how much quieter it is now. Now it's just like you're driving in a regular car. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of two-faced in a way, because it can be a full kill race car if you want it to be, when you want it to be, but it can also be, you know, a subdued daily driver at the same time, which is huge. And that is what's so good about, you know, these supercars. I'd consider this a supercar. That's what's good about these supercars nowadays, is that they can kind of do both. Obviously, unless you get like a Huracan STO or something that's, you know, a full track weapon like an SVJ. Those are gonna break your spine when driving down bumpy roads. But the good thing about the C8 is that now with this magnetic ride control suspension, it's driving very smooth over these bumps. Granted, this is a newly paved road, so it doesn't really get much better than this, but it's two-faced. You know, it's a race car and it's a daily driver all in one, and that is why you pay so much money for one of these. All right, I'm gonna take you guys down one of my favorite roads to drive on around here. It's a great road to test out the handling, but also go through the different RPM ranges and really get a feel for what this thing sounds like from the cabin, from the driver's seat, with this beautiful Kline exhaust. It's, again, I'm gonna say this probably 25 times throughout today's video, but it really does transform the feel of this car. Even like at like idle with the valves open, you can really just, you can feel it, and it's pretty cool. Hopefully we don't get stuck behind this Kia. All right, it looks like he's going straight, and we're gonna do a little offshoot here. All right, Richard, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Bit of drone at 5,000 RPMs, but it's the good kind of exotic drone. A little bit of water. Hopefully we avoid most of it. Got a horse right there. Go a little slow. This bridge is not fun for cars like this, but here we go again. Backfires are insane. They sound so good. What a difference. What a difference. The backfires, you can feel the backfires in your back. It's such a different feeling. And it's just incredible. Wow. This is probably one car where the exhaust is really, I felt the exhaust really transform the entire feel of the car. The way that it feels when you get on it, it sends like a reverberation through your body almost, in a way, to where it didn't do that from stock. It's like This is, I'm gonna do a little analogy here, like the stock Aventador, Lamborghini Aventador SVJ versus the Gintani Aventador SVJ. It's kind of like a similar feeling between like the stock C8 Z06 versus the one with the Kline, what's it called? Inconel? It makes a massive difference to the feel, but also to the sound, obviously, as well. And I was just informed by Richard that now Kline may be doing headers to go along with this entire exhaust setup. This is a catback setup, correct?
Correct.
Okay. As we know, videos never convey the true feeling or the actual sound of what a vehicle is like in person, but take it from me, after driving this thing stock to driving this with this $12,000 Kline exhaust, it wakes this thing up. It makes it sound like it should sound from factory. It sounds like a mix of like a Lamborghini V12 at the lower RPMs and then a Ferrari 458 in the upper RPMs, but it also has its own, you know, vibe to it at the same time. It kind of plays on the riff of a 458, but it has its own experience at the same time. I apologize if there's any wind noise or a little bit of an echo, but this is kind of like the best spot that I could find with the wind, because it's just been super windy yesterday and today, and really like the past few months it's been really windy here. But man, this thing is a totally different beast with this new exhaust. By the way, I just really like the way that the new wing looks. I do like the standard wing that you get with, or the stock wing that you get with the Z07, but this just adds to the race car vibe of this thing. And by the way, this is nowhere near complete. This is just in its infancy of the build. We're gonna do, or he's gonna do, the first center lock conversion wheels on a C8. So those are to come. I'm not going to show you what they look like yet, but he's going to do new wheels. There's going to be a sweet livery on this thing and a few other things that I'm going to keep my mouth quiet on, because, you know, he's going to reveal that as they come. But man, what a great vehicle to drive. If you can snag one of these at MSRP, which good luck, by the way, but he got his at MSRP because he's lucky. But I can see that dealerships are now lowering their markup on the new Z06s because it seems like more and more are now out and about on the streets. However, this is like one of the only few Z06s that I've seen here in person. But just to summarize the exhaust, it sounds absolutely incredible. If you guys want to follow along on the build journey, Project Z8 Z06, C8 Z06 on Instagram, and then also follow my Instagram for behind the scenes footage of this, or just what I do on a day-to-day basis at 703 speed. But this is not the end of today's video, because I do want to show you or give you a little update on the Camaro. So let's go over to my buddy's house now. I ended up going to my buddy's house, but I didn't end up filming anything, and sometimes that's just how it happens, you know what I mean? I say I'm gonna film something, but then it's just kind of awkward to film, so I don't end up doing it. However, I did want to let you know I got the proper sweatshirt on for what we're about to talk about. So at my buddy's house, I ended up ordering a lot of suspension and performance modifications for the Camaro, and basically I want to kind of bring you back. So I asked my buddy Trevor, who's got the C7 Z06, and he had a bunch of engine work done, you know, probably 6 months ago-ish. And I asked him, hey, you know, if you ever get a chance, can you send me over who did the work to your car? Because I want to get some work done to my car. So anyways, he sent me that guy's contact information, and I reached out to Zach, who did the work to the Z06, the C7 Z06. And I said, hey, you know, if you ever get a little bit of time, would you reach out to me and let me know a couple weeks in advance when you're ready to do some work to my car? And he said, okay. So basically what ended up happening was he reached out to me a little bit sooner than I was expecting, and I wasn't necessarily ready to order all these performance modifications, but I asked to get on his list. He put me on his list, and basically he contacted me, and I said, hey, I'm gonna get all these performance mods ordered, so I have everything that's, you know, ready for you when I bring the car down to you. So I spent more than I wanted to, but it is going to be worth it. And it's about 3 weeks later from when I filmed the first half of this video, or first 3/4 of this video. So basically in that amount of time, I brought the car down to him. I got all the performance mods with me, and I brought all of that stuff down. And basically over the past 3-ish weeks, he's been absolutely cranking on the build, and it's pretty much done. He's just got a few more little, you know, odds and ends to button up, but other than that, all the performance modifications are in. Here's a little sneak peek of that. So you may know what's going on. But I'm very excited to get it back. I'm not going to go into too much detail with what we have done, but I think you can kind of infer about, you know, what got done. So in the next couple weeks, or next week, I have to bring the Camaro from Richmond up to Baltimore, Maryland to get the Camaro tuned. So you can kind of guess what's going on. So I will be making an update video on that probably next week or the week after. And really, that's really the update for the Camaro. So stay tuned if you're interested in a 5th gen Camaro build. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up. I appreciate all of you, sticking around and watching to the end of today's video. But yeah, that's the update. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.